The tension was palpable. America tuned in, a nation divided. The debate between President Donald Trump and Senator Kamala Harris was more than just a policy discussion. It was a clash of visions for America's future. On one side stood Trump, a fighter for the American worker, a defender of traditional values. On the other, Harris, representing the radical left, pushing a socialist agenda that threatened the very fabric of American society. The stakes couldn't have been higher. From the outset, Trump dominated the stage. He didn't shy away from confrontation, directly challenging Harris and her record. This wasn't a man afraid to speak his mind. His directness, his refusal to back down, resonated with millions of Americans tired of political correctness and empty promises. This was Trump at his best. Bold, unapologetic, and in control. Trump's energy was infectious. He kept the pressure on Harris, exposing the flaws in her arguments and the emptiness of her promises. He was a force of nature, a stark contrast to the calculated, rehearsed demeanor of his opponent. The left, desperate to find any weakness, resorted to tired attacks on Trump's mental fitness. This was a cheap shot, a distraction from the real issues at hand. The American people saw through this charade. They knew that Trump's sharp wit and unwavering focus were not signs of instability, but of a leader who wouldn't be bullied by the media or the political establishment. Trump's mental acuity was on full display throughout the debate. He effortlessly rattled off facts and figures, dismantling Harris's arguments with laser-like precision. The left's attempts to paint him as unfit only served to highlight their own desperation. The left, out of touch with everyday Americans, leaned on celebrity endorsements in a desperate attempt to appear relatable. Taylor Swift's endorsement of Harris was a perfect example of this disconnect. Hardworking Americans struggling to put food on the table weren't swayed by the opinions of out-of-touch millionaires. These endorsements revealed the hollowness of the left's platform. They had to resort to Hollywood elites because their policies failed to resonate with the average American. Trump, on the other hand, didn't need celebrities. His support came from the heartland, from the forgotten men and women who knew he was fighting for them. Section 5. Pocketbook issues. Trump's focus on real America. While Harris danced around the issues, Trump kept the focus where it belonged, on the economy. He didn't shy away from addressing the real concerns of everyday Americans, making sure to highlight the stark differences between his approach and that of the current administration. He hammered home the pain inflicted on American families by inflation, soaring gas prices, and the overall cost of living. These were not just numbers on a chart. They were real issues affecting real people. The disastrous economic policies of the Biden administration were laid bare. Trump pointed out how these policies led to empty grocery shelves and families struggling to make ends meet. He emphasized that these were not isolated incidents, but part of a broader trend of economic mismanagement. This was a message that resonated deeply with voters. They saw their own struggles reflected in Trump's words and felt that he truly understood their plight. The connection he made with the electorate was palpable. Trump understood that the economy was the most important issue for most Americans. He knew that without a strong economy, other issues would pale in comparison. His focus was unwavering, and his message was clear. He spoke directly to their concerns, addressing the fears and anxieties that many felt. His speeches were filled with empathy and a genuine desire to improve the lives of American citizens. Offering solutions instead of empty platitudes, Trump laid out a clear plan for economic recovery. He detailed specific policies aimed at reducing inflation, lowering gas prices, and creating jobs. His confidence was reassuring to many. He reminded them of the economic prosperity they enjoyed under his leadership, a time when businesses thrived and families felt secure. This was not just a nostalgic look back, but a promise of what could be achieved again. The contrast to the economic uncertainty they faced under Biden and Harris was stark. Trump painted a vivid picture of the current struggles, juxtaposed with the successes of his administration. He made it clear that a change in leadership was necessary for a return to prosperity. In the end, Trump's focus on real America, on the issues that mattered most to the people, set him apart. His commitment to addressing their needs and his track record of economic success made a compelling case for his leadership. As the debate concluded, it was evident that Trump's message had struck a chord. His unwavering focus on the economy and his promise to restore prosperity resonated deeply with voters, leaving a lasting impression. Section 6. A rigged game. Exposing media bias against Trump. The media landscape has always been a battleground, but never more so than during Trump's presidency. From the moment he announced his candidacy, the media seemed to have a target on his back. The media, predictably, attempted to paint Trump in a negative light. Every move he made, every word he uttered, was scrutinized and often twisted to fit a particular narrative. Headlines screamed of controversy, and news anchors delivered their critiques with a palpable disdain. The moderators, clearly biased against him, peppered him with hostile questions while giving Harris a free pass. This was nothing new. During debates, the difference in treatment was stark. While Trump faced a barrage of aggressive questioning, his opponents were often met with a more lenient approach, allowing them to sidestep tough issues. The media had been waging a war against Trump since day one. From the Russia collusion narrative to the impeachment trials, the coverage was relentless and overwhelmingly negative. Protesters fueled by these reports took to the streets, amplifying the media's message. But Trump didn't back down. He stood his ground, often turning the tables on his critics. His confidence in the face of adversity became a hallmark of his presidency. He used every opportunity to highlight the media's bias, making it a central theme of his public addresses. He called out the media's bias, exposing their double standards and their agenda-driven reporting. In press conferences, he would directly challenge journalists, pointing out inconsistencies and calling out what he perceived as unfair treatment. This approach resonated with many of his supporters, who felt similarly disenfranchised by the mainstream media. He refused to play their game, speaking directly to the American people, bypassing the filter of the biased media. Through social media platforms and rallies, he communicated his message unfiltered. This direct line to his base allowed him to maintain a strong connection with his supporters, who appreciated his unvarnished approach. This direct connection with voters was one of Trump's greatest strengths. His ability to mobilize and energize his base was unparalleled. The enthusiastic crowds at his rallies were a testament to his influence and the loyalty of his supporters. Despite the media's efforts to undermine him, Trump's bond with his followers remained unbreakable, showcasing the power of direct communication in the modern political landscape. Section 7. Unwavering resolve. Trump's strength in the face of attacks. Despite facing a barrage of attacks from both Harris and the moderators, Trump remained unflappable. He didn't back down from a fight, confidently defending his record and his vision for America. This unwavering resolve, this refusal to be intimidated, resonated with his supporters. Trump's opponents had underestimated him. They expected him to crack under pressure, to lose his cool. Instead, he thrived in the face of adversity, emerging from the debate even stronger. His resilience, his fighting spirit, only solidified his bond with his base. Section 8. A victory for conservative values. Trump's resonating message. The debate wasn't just about policies, it was about values. It was a clash of ideologies, a battle for the soul of America. On one side, there was a vision of progressive change, and on the other, a steadfast commitment to traditional principles. Trump represented a return to traditional American values: faith, family, and freedom. These were not just words to his supporters. They were a way of life, a guiding philosophy that had shaped the nation for generations. His message was clear and unwavering, a call to preserve the core tenets that many believed were being eroded. His message resonated with millions of Americans who felt that their values were under attack by the radical left. They saw in Trump a defender of their way of life, someone who would stand up against what they perceived as an encroaching threat to their beliefs and traditions. For these Americans, the stakes were incredibly high, and Trump's words offered a beacon of hope. Trump's performance energized his base and gave hope to those who yearned for a return to a stronger, more prosperous America. His speeches were filled with promises of economic revival, national pride, and a restoration of American greatness. He spoke to the heart of his supporters, tapping into their deepest desires and fears, and in doing so, he reignited a movement that had felt marginalized and overlooked. He demonstrated that he was still the fighter they had rallied behind, the one who would stand up for their values and put America first. His unwavering stance on issues like immigration, national security, and economic policy reassured his followers that he was committed to their cause. The America First agenda was more than a slogan. It was a promise to prioritize the needs and interests of American citizens above all else. The debate was a clear victory for Trump and a testament to the enduring strength of the conservative movement. It showcased the deep-seated beliefs and passions that continue to drive his supporters. For them, Trump's message was not just political rhetoric. It was a call to action, a rallying cry for a vision of America that they hold dear. The resonance of his message underscored the ongoing cultural and political divide in the country, highlighting the powerful influence of conservative values in shaping the national discourse.